Hey everyone, I'm 28, female, and I got married to my husband, 29, male, 5 days ago. My mother-in-law tried to ruin our wedding wherever she could, and now we are the bad guys for doing what we did, so I want to know what you guys think. The story starts when my husband and I decide to inform our parents about our engagement. We had been dating for 5 years already, so our engagement shouldn't have been a surprise to anyone, but mother-in-law didn't take it well. It came as a shock to her that her son would choose someone like me when there were so many better women out there. She actually said that after we announced our engagement to her, word by word. My husband tried to tell me that it was just my mother-in-law's dry sense of humor, but I didn't find her joke funny. It sounded pretty genuine to me, and I told him that. My husband said I'm simply stressing out and overthinking. I do have a bad habit of letting my thoughts get the best of me and overthinking every minuscule detail. So I believed my husband and let that reaction go. But my initial thought of mother-in-law not wanting me to be her daughter-in-law solidified when I called her to include her in the wedding planning. She said, and I am quoting her here, "You weren't kidding. You two are really getting married." Now, maybe I am a little sensitive, but that seemed pretty straightforward to me. Mother-in-law wasn't expecting me to get married to my husband. I told my husband about it, and he said that perhaps mother-in-law is a bit too surprised and hasn't quite processed that we are getting married. You know what? That made sense. I let that comment slide too, but in the back of my mind, I had this strong feeling that she did not want me to be with my husband. But until she said anything outright, my husband wasn't going to believe me, and I didn't want to go off on a hunch. I tried to be polite and include her in the wedding planning as much as I could because I didn't want to be rude. I felt like I was trying to be friends with someone who hated my guts, but wasn't open about it. Wedding plannings are quite stressful, and having this strange Cold War with mother-in-law made it worse for my mental health. Whenever I have a bad mental health day, I start binge eating. I'm not proud of that, but it is my coping mechanism, and I am working on not reverting to it. With how stressful everything was, I had been looking for comfort in the bottom of the ice cream pints a little too often. I'm not proud of it, but that is how I did everything. That led to me feeling even worse because I could almost see myself swelling up. When I measured myself, I had gained about 2 pounds, but on my body, it looked like I had gained 10. The wedding was still 5 weeks away, so I knew I had time to lose the weight and get in my best shape if I wanted it. While I was struggling with my body issues, time was escaping me. So my mother decided to take charge and book an appointment for dress shopping at this boutique, which was owned by her friend. I wish I could say I was excited, but I wasn't. I felt ugly, but I still went to the boutique. The dresses they showed me were beautiful, no doubt, but I didn't feel beautiful in them. They put the dress on me and took me out to meet everyone, and I just felt ugly even though everyone was saying how radiant I looked. Well, everyone except my mother-in-law. The first thing mother-in-law did when she saw me was comment on my weight. She said how big I looked and how difficult it would be for me to find the right dress in this boutique because she doubts they carry bigger sizes. Every time I stepped out with a new dress on, my eyes would automatically drift to mother-in-law, who looked completely unimpressed by the dress. She succeeded in making me feel worse without even trying, and I felt so terrible for letting her get to me like that. After trying on 5 dresses and feeling like garbage, I broke down in the dressing room. The ladies who were helping me with the dresses were the only ones who saw me. When they asked me why I was crying, I explained how I felt ugly no matter which dress because of my tummy. That was when one of the ladies gave me a dress. It was this off-shoulder dress that was body-fitting until my underbust, and then it was like a lace gown. When I wore the dress, I felt amazing. I felt pretty. I told them that this would be my dress, and I would come back before my wedding to get the fittings done right because I'll try and lose weight. They agreed and booked the dress for me. They asked if I would like to show it to the family, but I didn't want to. I knew if I went out, I would only notice how mother-in-law would be looking at me and I'd feel bad. I didn't want to feel that way. So no one in my family knew about my dress at all. When I stepped out, I told them that I booked the last dress I saw and it was perfect. Everybody assumed I was talking about the last dress I modeled for them, and I didn't want to correct them. Mother-in-law inevitably commented on how I would have to lose a few pounds to look the part when I'm in the dress, and while the words hurt, I was glad that I didn't show my dress to her. Now, fast forward to a day before my wedding. I had been working out consistently and I had already gone to the boutique to get everything fitted. My dress fitted me perfectly. As our wedding was going to be at this hotel we had booked, we were all staying there. My dress was in this room with all the bridesmaids' dresses. My mother-in-law, over the past 5 weeks, has made sure to remind me every step of the way that she does not support our marriage and she doesn't want to be a part of this. She wants my husband to marry anyone else except me. She even went as far as to get his ex to come to the wedding. It was all a mess. Somewhere I just didn't feel comfortable with my mother-in-law hanging around. But at the same time, I couldn't tell her to get up and leave. I told my MOH to keep my dress safe because I didn't want my mother-in-law to ruin anything about the wedding. But as luck would have it, while I was speaking with my husband about some last-minute changes in his room, I heard mother-in-law's voice from the room next to his. She was laughing on call, saying how she had ruined the wedding dress and there's no way I'll be marrying him tomorrow in the dress. I rushed out of the room and confronted her. I asked her what she meant by that. My mother-in-law had no idea that her voice could be heard in the next room, and so she said a lot of mean things to me, oblivious to her son hearing them. She claimed that she snipped the hem of the dress and she felt no remorse. I ran to the room where my dress was while calling MOH. When I entered the room, I saw a dress that was destroyed, but it wasn't mine. It was a wedding dress, but it didn't look like mine. When my MOH came, she told me that she thrifted a wedding dress just in case mother-in-law decided to do something dumb, and she was glad that she moved my wedding dress aside. Hearing about my wedding dress being safe made it easier for me to calm down. Once I had calmed down, I went back to see my husband and came across him and mother-in-law in a screaming match. He couldn't believe that mother-in-law would go this far just to ruin his wedding, and she couldn't believe that he would marry me even though she was expressing her opinions. All of that screaming match ended up with my mother-in-law being uninvited from the wedding. She left the premises that night even though we didn't ask her to, and then took it to social media. She told everyone that I kicked her out of the wedding because I hated her, and as our wedding was small, a lot of people do not know what happened. Hence, a lot of people believed her. Post-wedding, we decided to have a retreat to my friend's lake house to cool off, so I had no idea what was happening. Now that I'm back, I am seeing the social media posts and receiving several hateful messages online. AITA for uninviting her? I mean, it was my husband who uninvited her, so I guess I am wondering if I am TA by not insisting she stay. What do you guys think? Update 1. My mother-in-law is relentlessly posting on social media about how badly I treated her. I showed the post to my husband and he was shocked. He said that he couldn't believe his mom would be this petty. He has been taking this quite badly. I feel extremely bad. I do not want him to feel this way, but I do not know what I should do. Any advice would be great. I want to make it easier for my husband. I hate that I have ruined his relationship with his mother. Update 2. Hey everyone. Thank you for all the kind words. I really appreciate you guys sending me all of these sweet messages. I have shown my husband this post, and he appreciates all of your kind words as well. He thinks it is unfair to both of us that mother-in-law is treating us this way. But my husband has also realized that over the years, the signs were always there. He feels extremely guilty for ignoring me every time I told him mother-in-law's words. So we are currently working on that. We're both trying to deal with our issues, and as far as my mother-in-law is concerned, we have been ignoring her. Update 3. Hey everyone. It's been about 3 months since I last updated this post, and I am sorry for being a little late at updating. As far as the situation is considered between us, we are doing better. We have been talking and communicating about our issues with him not believing in me. As far as mother-in-law is concerned, she came over a few days ago and tried to insult me in front of my husband. I'm saying she tried because when she started to blame me for making my husband unhappy, my husband fired back and told her to leave. He told her to watch her tongue and understand that if she is going to be this rude and disrespectful towards me, it would be better for all of us if she did not come visit us again. Mother-in-law did not take it very seriously until my husband insisted he was being serious. He also asked her to take down everything she had posted about us and our wedding. My husband threatened mother-in-law that he will go no contact with her, and that seemed to work. Since then, my mother-in-law has taken down all the posts she's made about us, which is good in my opinion, so I consider it a win. Thank you for every kind of message you guys have sent me so far. I really appreciate that. OP and TA for inviting your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law sounds like a piece of work. I hate that your husband did not believe you whenever you told him about his mother being so cruel to you. Why would you lie about something like that? That sounds like a bit of a red flag. Perhaps you two should work on that together. As far as mother-in-law is concerned, you should ignore her as much as you can. OP, don't believe anyone who thinks you're TA. You are NTA for inviting your mother-in-law. Your mother-in-law sounds like a terrible human being. Who in their right mind tries to ruin their son's wedding? She should respect her son's decision of loving you and wanting to marry you even if she doesn't like you because he chose you. Next story. My fiance Joe and I both come from large families. I'm the youngest of 5 and he's the second youngest of 8. I have 2 nieces and 4 nephews on my side and 10 nieces and 4 nephews on his side. His oldest sister had 3 girls, Ava, 10, Ellie, 4, Lily, 17 months. She wasn't capable of being a good mom to them, so we've had them for the past 8 months. The girls started calling us mommy and daddy within a month, and we're looking into making this permanent. Joe and I are getting married in June. We decided to have a small, semi-formal wedding with just our close friends and immediate families. We don't need 12 flower girls and 8 ring bearers, so we decided that only the nieces that live with us will be part of the wedding. Ava's going to be the flower girl, and Ellie and Lily are going to be the ring bearers. We're also taking them to get their hair and nails. Ava and Ellie will get their nails done. I'm also going to let Ava get her makeup done. When we said we weren't going to have our nieces and nephews in the wedding because there's too many of them, our siblings assumed our kids also weren't going to be in the wedding. We've been getting offers from siblings to watch the kids before and during the wedding, and we said that wouldn't be necessary. They're in the wedding and I'm taking them with me to get ready. Word got around to the siblings, and most of them are mad at me for favoring one set of nieces over the others. I said we have a different relationship with our girls and that we're even looking into adopting them, but they're saying they can't tell their kids that their cousins are in the wedding and they're not because I don't love them as much. They've been wearing Joe down, and he's mentioned telling the girls that we can't have any flower girls or ring bearers because it'll make their cousins upset. But they're really looking forward to the wedding, and I don't want to make them upset or let them think their cousins' feelings are more important than theirs. AITA for only having our girls at the wedding? NTA, your siblings sound entitled and exhausting. You don't need to explain it any more than you already have. Your nieces live with you. They're in your wedding. Your other nieces and nephews are welcome at the wedding, but the wedding party is set, and they are not a part of the wedding party, period. All the siblings are AHs. Being that these kids will hopefully permanently be your children one day, this is perfectly acceptable in every way. You will have those memories to look back on one day as a family of 5. Don't relent and tell the other siblings that their kids need to realize that the world doesn't revolve around them. What happens when the other kids get upset that you're adopting those 3 girls and not them? Are you going to have to change that too to make them happy? It's not the same relationship to compare. They will never be equal to the others because those are your kids that you're raising. NTA, and don't give in. NTA, it's your wedding and those are your kids. They should be there, and it wouldn't be weird if your kids are the only kids attending. If you decide that kids are allowed and you're inviting all your nieces and nephews, it wouldn't be a bad idea to have them involved. Maybe plan a day, order pizza and ice cream, and have all the kids help out with DIY wedding decor, like making paper cranes or putting together wedding favors. Next story. My in-laws are big travelers, and they usually generously bring back a food-themed souvenir for me and my wife from wherever they visit. They've brought back spiced mustard from Austria, mini bottles of maple syrup from Vermont, and Kona coffee from Hawaii. But they then help themselves to the gift when they come over, which is every week. Of the 4 small tubes of different spiced mustards, my father-in-law ate about 60% of it, including finishing them. He never asked if he could have any. He just helped himself. I like to savor gifts like that since I don't know if I'll ever visit the place the food is from. I was raised to never take the last of something unless I asked my parents or they brought it in just for me. One morning I came downstairs to find my in-laws using up the last of the maple syrup from Vermont on theirs and my 3-year-old pancakes. The bottles were of different types of syrup and were only a couple of ounces each. We had a regular jug of maple syrup right next to the sample pack. When I incredulously said, "Why are you using that maple syrup?" my mother-in-law replied, "You've had the syrups for months." I said, "I didn't realize the gift had an expiration date." I love coffee and either roast my own beans or buy pricier bags from local roasters. When they got me Kona coffee, half-pound bag, my mother-in-law, who usually drinks Folgers out of a Keurig, asked me to make her some. I did, but was extremely irritated that she would even ask, given that there are limited cups in a half-pound bag. If I was a Boone's Farm wine drinker, I wouldn't give someone $100 bottle of wine and ask for a glass. Edit. Additional context information. They are over 1 night a week to watch our daughter. We sent her to daycare for 3 days, but the grandparents, both my parents and my in-laws, requested that they are able to spend 1 day each with her. They bring some of their own food. My father-in-law has his own Gatorade and beer in our fridge. I never eat their food as there is usually a small amount of finite quantity. AITA? NAH. I think this just comes down to different mindsets. If someone gave me an expensive bottle of wine, I'd feel like an a-hole not offering them a glass. Maybe it would help you to be less irritated to stop thinking of these items as gifts, but rather as your in-laws bringing back items to be shared as a family. It sounds like both you and your wife were raised differently. In my house, what your in-laws are doing would be considered normal and it wouldn't be an issue. It sounds like you came from a household with different expectations. Neither is bad or wrong, however, assuming that they know your expectations and how you view things without talking about it and then getting upset because they don't know is wrong. Yes, you could say it goes 2 ways, but the situation isn't bothering them. So they don't know there is anything wrong. You either need to talk to them or get over it. If you decide to talk to them, avoid anger and approach it from how much you love and appreciate their gifts and want to savor them. They shouldn't be indiscriminately eating these one-off precious foods. And in my view, they should also ask before eating stuff in your fridge in general. But you are also to blame for not taking steps to prevent this, since it seems to happen often. Do you have a free-for-all on other things in the fridge? That policy would reasonably have them believe these items are also fair game. If you don't want them eating the perishable gifts they give you, store them away from general groceries at home. I keep my top flight ingredients in a special place away from my partner and my roommates when I had them. Stay tuned for more stories from Argo Relationships.